We've got a lot of bad news, so let's start with the good news, which is a lot of people have been so successful flying their drone in Tulum. I'm one of them. I have flown there so many times over so many years, and I've had a lot of great flights. And I've also had a lot of really bad flights and incidents. This is going to be a very honest video, and I'm going to be sharing with you these things. The 4 reasons why I hate flying a drone in Tulum, and that includes corruption versus what the actual laws are, which we'll talk about drone laws in Mexico. The second one is drone maps and why they are difficult to look at in Tulum. And the third thing is the price. We're going to talk about the price of flying a drone in Tulum because that will vary like the wind. And the last one is it's hard to get to where you want to go fly in Tulum for the number 1 reason why Tulum is a difficult place to travel to. And then I will share with you how I figure out how to fly in various places around the world because drones are easy, but navigating drone laws that are ever changing can be a challenge. And lastly, I'll be honest and talk to you about why I didn't actually want to make this video and why I am. And if you're new here, yo, I'm Christine Lozada. This is Drone with CL. Drones are really easy to fly, and I really want you to explore the world from the best view in the house. I have drone courses, tons of resources, blog posts, and more. Oh, and a Facebook group. Check that out in the description. Tons of stuff in there for you. Let's dive straight in. The footage that you see on screen right here is me on a scooter. I'm oftentimes, actually the majority of the time, traveling alone in Tulum over all the trips I've done. And getting around on a scooter is one of the easier ways. The other thing about scooters in Tulum, and actually in my latest trip, you'll hear this on my travel YouTube channel, I rented an electric bike. Why? Because it's very common. And it's difficult if you haven't traveled to a place. Lots of people who watch my content have never experienced police corruption, which is fantastic. I hope it never happens to you. And when it does, it generally is not the best situation. It's happened to me a lot around the world. And so on that note, one of the things I was talking about with the owner of the electric bike company is she was like, it's the best way to get around. She's been living here for 20 years. I was like, I usually rent a scooter. And she's like, and you get stopped, right? And I go, yeah. Well, no, because every time the police wave me down to stop, I turn around and I zip out of there. Because if you get stopped, generally they want to talk to you and look at your belongings in places that are not easily on main roads. And so I'll just leave it at that. When I fly, it looks something like this.
You live behind the scenes of somewhere I chose to fly in Tulum. I am actually literally on my motorbike right now with the keys ready to go just in case something came up. But I chose to, after doing all my homework on my maps, fly near a park. And I chose this park, not necessarily because it's like an open space. I actually never got off of my moped. I literally launched and landed from sitting on this seat, but more so because a lot of people that look like me are jogging or biking or doing things in this park, and I felt safer as a solo female traveler kind of deep into Tulum right now.
And so with my keys in the ignition, I'm ready to rock and roll if I need to. It was better on my latest trip to Tulum being on an electric bike, because I did not get stopped. This next one is difficult for me to share as well, but I recently posted something in which, wow, the amount of direct hate comments that I have received is a lot. But it's a very honest post, which is what I pack in my drone bag is bribe money. Crisp 50s and sometimes crisp 100s depending on where I'm at. But I'm just gonna read it to you.
I'm not proud to admit this, I keep bribe money in my drone bag when I'm flying in Mexico.
Is it when I'm in all parts of Mexico? No. I flew successfully into Postland, beautiful, 2 hours south of Mexico City. That happened a couple months ago. Valle de Guadalupe, gorgeous wine country, amazing wine. Amazing flights there. I'm gonna stop myself there because if I list all the places I've flown in Mexico, this video will become long. Do I use bribe money every time I fly in Mexico? Absolutely not. I've gotten stopped by police and I don't even have the opportunity to offer them anything. Sometimes they just take everything. Like that time in Tijuana. I go on to write, it depends on whom I'm traveling with. Being in a group of lots of people or being with my boyfriend Meatball, he's a really big guy, is different than when I'm normally traveling alone. And it's just the way it works. What's it like when it happens? It sucks. If you want to read the rest of that, I'll link that in the description below. The second reason why I hate flying in Tulum is because the drone maps are not necessarily 100% correct or at all correct. And so what you see here is me in the middle of Tulum, and I pulled up the drone maps through Aloft, a place that I love, And I'm just scrolling around, clicking on various areas to see where I can fly. And it's showing that, yes, I can fly in the national park, which is new. Yes, I can fly at the naval base. Yes, I could fill in the blank, right? And so what's important here is that you're not relying on just one source. And we will talk about the research that I do and I recommend, but you can't rely on just one single source. And so figuring out how and where to fly in Tulum can be difficult. Let's keep it going with this topic, because the next reason why I hate flying in Tulum is because it's difficult to get to the place that you want to fly. And what I mean by that is twofold. One, the biggest scam in Tulum is getting around is taxis. And so it's someone who's paying $5 for a taxi ride, that same exact taxi ride to someone no habla español or solo habla un poco español will pay $50 for that ride, and someone else will pay $100 or more. It just depends on how badly you are stuck wherever you are at and how difficult it is to get to the place you're going to. For example, a lot of people think that they can fly into Tulum Airport really easily. No examples needed in this video. Check the travel channel. So getting where you want to go fly can be difficult if you're relying on taxis. Driving in Tulum is a whole other beast that we're not going to discuss on this channel. But one of the other things is getting the top thing you want to fly and capture Tulum Beach. It's amazing. And actually, hold on. I'm going to show you a clip of when I was there last month of why I didn't fly on Tulum Beach.
I wanted to tell a story about both Tulum Beach as well as the roads, and so I kept my drone in sight just right up here. But instead of going to the beach side, because everyone says the Mexico beaches are free, but are they actually going to let you walk through all the different hotels, etc., to access their part of the beach? Not in my experience. So this is where I chose to fly from instead. And it smells like sewage, and I've been getting eaten by bugs, and there's about 15 ants on me.
Lovely, right? I'm going to go ahead and leave the sound off on this one, but this is me trying to get to and from Tulum Beach. There's very, very few entry points. Can you just barge your way through one of the resorts and hotels? Yeah, that's what I was trying to do in this situation. In this case, I was flying from the beach, and I actually want to just walk back to the road. And someone put their hands on me, on one of the workers at the hotel, who wouldn't allow me to do that. And will this happen to you? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But walking to and from the beach and the road is not easy in Tulum. There are some access points that are easier than others. Ooh, Bagatelle. Ooh, I almost had a very bad experience there. Definitely not talking about that one on this channel. It's hard to share these stories. I'm gonna be totally honest. If you're getting some value out of this, cheers that like button, consider subscribing, and tell me in the comments your stories. We're all a community. If you've had a successful story, tell us. People need to know and be encouraged to fly because it's beautiful here. The last reason why that I hate flying a drone in Tulum is the prices. I get it. There's a price that you have to pay for things, and if to be honest, I'm fine with that. But I don't like it when it signs like this. So this is from a video about which cenotes you should go visit them. Cenotes are amazing. And I talk about drones at this cenote. I'll link that in the description below. But basically, the prices will do that. They vary. And so in the same way, it's a little bit different now at Cancun Airport, but when you before would ask like, oh, ¿cuánto cuesta for the price of a taxi to blah, blah, blah? How much is a taxi? Same thing with drones, where it's just like, oh, the price, come here. And they pull you to the side, and they will look at what you're wearing and will see the direction of the wind and then think about what kind of burrito they're gonna eat for lunch today. Maybe that's me thinking about that. And then they will name a price. And I'll be honest, sometimes there are posted prices. Ooh, let's play this quick clip.
So I got my ticket. It is $20. You can play with Visa and MasterCard, no Amex. But no cameras allowed, no GoPros, nothing. $100 or more, depending on what it is. So we are switching to iPhone only.
And so, yes, there are posted prices sometimes. And will they abide by those prices? It depends. And I didn't want to share this I have other videos talking about drones in Mexico, link in the description. I didn't want to show his face. I still won't show his face. This guy, there was a posted price that day. Come over here. Nope, let's talk about it. Size you up. No, the price today is blah, and it's not going to be anything else. Did I fly that day? Absolutely not. I didn't have that much money. Did I have that much money that day? Maybe. I probably just didn't think it was worth it. But you know what? These are a lot of unsuccessful stories. I will finish this video with successful stories so that we can all, end feeling good about life. Because yeah, I am coming back to Tulum, and yeah, I will be bringing my drones, but let's talk next about the drone laws in Mexico and what they should be in Tulum, because that's helpful to know. How do I figure out if I can fly in a place? The formula that I use for this is the same everywhere in the world, and is one that I recommend and I teach in my course. The first is you start with the government website first. That's where I started. That's where you should, if you haven't, go back, start there. It hasn't changed. The whole thing is still in Espanol. You're going to have to use some kind of translator to read about it. The summary of what it says is if you have a drone that's 250 grams or less, i.e. the Mavic Mini, you are fine to fly. That's what the law says. We just spent, I don't even know how long this video is, talking about corruption. So clearly I don't have an explanation for that part for you.
But that's what it says.
If you have a larger drone, for example, I fly the Air drone, the Mavic Air 2S. Sometimes I fly the Mavic 3 Cine Pro. And for those drones, you need to register them. The thing about that, and this started popping up in forums, we'll talk about that, is that only people who are Mexican national citizens, you're a Mexican citizen, can actually register drones. So the way around it is to bring a Mavic Mini. But again, we're talking about the written law and not the unwritten rules of the current situation you're in. Start with the government website. The second thing I do is CBOs. In other words, community-based organizations. The local laws. What are the local laws of Tulum? What are the local laws of that city, that state, wherever it is I'm traveling to? That's what I look to next. Does Tulum have stuff like that?
No.
But other places do, so use that formula. The third place I go is exactly where you're at right now. I do two things. I get opinions. I'm reading Yelp reviews, watching YouTube videos, getting other people's opinions. I recommend go listen to other YouTube videos. My experience is unique and different from other people. It's helpful to know, which is why you should share yours in the comments below. And also, I also look up forums. What's the latest and greatest on Reddit? What are people saying in drone forums? It's helpful to hear and keep your ear to the ground before you go to a place, just so you're aware of what's happening. Does it mean it will happen to you? No, but is it helpful to know that the best thing to order from that place is the pork belly buns at Momofuku? Yes, you gotta read that in advance though.
Until I'm hungry.
How do you know if you can fly? To recap that, 1, you look at the government website. 2, you're looking for community-based organization, local laws. The third thing you do is you do your reconnaissance. Watch content like this. Look at blogs. What are other people's experience? Look at forums. That is how I look up if I can fly in a place. I didn't want to make this video. Why? Because it's hard to share these honest stories. So let's talk about some successful stories and why my drone is currently broken right now. One of the things that has changed a lot in Tulum is the beaches. And so here's a map of Tulum. Basically, this whole north area of Tulum Beach has now been designated as a national park. It's technically a biosphere. It might not show it in the drone maps, but you're not supposed to fly a drone here. It's not clear to me if they've made the entire area a biosphere, but at least within the national park boundaries, I did not try to fly a drone anywhere near there. Are the Tulum ruins over there? Yes. Were you allowed to fly there before? No. And a lot of people don't realize that. The middle part of Tulum Beach, yep, flew over there. The more south part of Tulum Beach, boom, yep, flew over there also. And there's only like one free beach where you'll find a lot of the locals. And so here's a clip of me successfully flying over there.
All right, so I've gone up and down the street 4 times on this bike, back and forth, just trying to scope a spot I want to launch from. I want to be somewhere that's seated, that I can be next to my bike, enjoy the ocean at the same time while I'm working. And now I found a spot that I don't think anyone's going to bother me. Guess what it's time for?
I loved that flight. It was beautiful on that day. That was a successful flight. A not so successful flight. Here is some footage of me setting up my drone. I'm somewhere that's a little bit kind of off the path so that I wouldn't be bothering anyone and no one would be bothering me. At the moment in which I was hand launching my drone, somebody jumped out of nowhere, like literally jumped out of nowhere and was like, "Are you flying a drone?" And like started to demand money from me. And as I released the drone, it fell to the ground because I get scared very easily. Ask me. It was not a happy moment. I'm gonna fix my drone though. Come join me in that video. There's a blog post. There's links in the description to help you out with more content, including that initial Instagram post that I talked about, as well as the other videos that I've made about flying a drone in Mexico, as well as a link to the government website. All the things are in there for you. Cheers that like button. If you haven't already, add your helpful tip. Come join me in the next video. I'll see you over there. Ciao. And people also need to be aware of situations that are not the best. When you go to a restaurant and you read a Yelp review, do you just read one? No, you read a few and then you make a decision for yourself. When you're gonna go make macaroni and cheese, do you read just one recipe? No, you read a few, or you just make the blue box craft mac and cheese because it's delicious. I digress. Let's talk about the next helpful tip. Are the Tulum ruins over there? Yes. Were you allowed to fly there before? No. And a lot of people don't realize that. I see things that are historical. Like, just think about this. If you have to pay to get into a place and it might be historical or it's land that's being protected, the nature's being protected, or there's security around it, you likely can't fly a drone there. Lots of people don't understand that. It's why national parks, there's 1,000 drones in Yosemite while you're hiking. That's probably gonna scare off every bird and animal and create a really bad hiking experience for you. Half Dome is a very hard hike, BTW. The second thing is if there's a lot of security around it, you probably can't fly a drone. That's why you can't fly near the White House. Makes sense, right? And the third one, if it's historical, like the Tulum ruins or like the Colosseum or things like that, it makes sense. A lot of people don't realize that. There's an honest story about someone who had his drone, someone I love very much, had his drone taken away by the Spanish authorities. He was flying at a secure historical place. If you're new to drones, use your common sense and think through it in that way. And it might help you to just automatically know, like, yeah, I probably can't fly at Disneyland because Disneyland has their own police force. Think about it. Kids on roller coasters, near drones flying around with potentially newbie pilots. Not a good combo. Steak and eggs makes a good combo right now, though.